Service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
It's time for game night, getting you ready for Sacramento Kings basketball.
He's got the bucket!
Game night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the game night right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall along with the high flyer, Henry Turner. Kings and Jazz tonight. Sacramento on the back-to-back in Salt Lake City. The Jazz are on a back-to-back as well. They lost in Dallas last night. Well, for the Kings, we know they got the home win, their first win of the year as they defeat the Portland Trailblazers last night. Great second half for the Kings in that game, winning 111-98. Henry and I will be with you until 5:30 today, getting you ready for Kings Live pregame. It is a 6 o'clock tip tonight from the Delta Center. All right, if you want to join us, you certainly can, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us as well at 339-1140. Henry, that first half, I got to be honest, that first half was ugly basketball. It was a snooze fest. It was tough. It was tough sledding. Not that the Kings weren't playing competitive, not that Portland wasn't playing competitive. It just was not beautiful basketball. Second half, particularly that third quarter, that felt like Kings basketball that we were used to seeing the last couple of years.
You know, Scott, it's kind of funny because, you know, we work on the same broadcast, but during the game, you're down on the visitor side doing stats down there. And, man, me and G-Man, we talked about how that first half almost put us to sleep. It was like all the wind got sucked out of the game. There was no cheering, no booing. I mean, you could actually hear what each coach was saying when they were coaching their guys out there on the floor. It was like, this is terrible. But like you said, the third quarter came, and honestly, it didn't really kick in until Mike Brown went to small ball.
Yeah.
That should have really sent a sign right there to the organization. And if I'm an armchair GM, Scott, and I watch that and I want to play armchair coach, I like Alex Lynn. I like what he brings to the team, but I'm sorry, for what this team needs to do, Trey Lyles is a lot better fit at that 5.
Yeah, no question. And we saw a lot of Alex Lynn on Saturday against the Lakers. He was trying to match up height-wise. Mike Brown talking about that. But we saw Trey Lyles. And again, his minutes will increase getting back. He's still kind of coming back from the preseason injury. But you're right. When they go to that smaller lineup, they were very effective. They were turning it over. They were getting out and running with the ball a little bit more. I mean, this is how bad that was. There was only 4 fast break points in that first half.
Right. And, you know, and when they finally kicked it into gear, Trey was at the 5.
Yep.
Everybody was swarming. Everybody was getting deflections. They were gang rebounding, and they were moving.
Yep.
Now, I understand having DeMar DeRozan on the floor is going to slow down the ball some because, I'm sorry, he's dribble heavy. For him to get to his spots, and, you know, I don't want – it's kind of like a catch-22, Scott, because I don't want to speed DeMar up. DeMar is who he is.
Yep.
He's very methodical. He's one of those guys. He's almost a throwback because he uses his dribbles at his advantage. He never gets out of character. He never really gets, you know, out of control. So it's slow and methodical, but he gets to his spots and raise up and hits. You like that.
Yes.
But it isn't Sacramento Kings ball to where the ball is moving, swinging, dribble or drive, kick out, spray out for 3. It's not like that. I'm hoping that they find some happy medium to where both of those entities of basketball can coincide.
That's where the transition is, because it's not always aesthetically pleasing, but DeRozan's certainly effective. We know that. And the other
doubt.
And the other thing, of course, with DeMar, I mean, the man is just a free throw shooting machine who gets to the line all the time. So that is great because, you know, we've criticized the Kings. They were one of the worst free throw shooting teams. They were one of the worst teams getting to the line. They're best. They're number 1 in the NBA right now in free throw attempts, and that's great. But from a fan watching the game standpoint, it certainly slows things down.
It slowed the first half down to a crawl, didn't it?
It did.
But to the Kings' advantage, Scott. Like you said, just on that one aspect alone, the free throw game, the Kings are they're number one in free throw attempts, but they're number one in free throw percentage.
Yeah. They're number one in free throw percentage, 86%, sixth in overall attempts, 28 a game.
Yeah.
But still, those are great numbers.
Huge numbers. They were dead last year.
Yep.
And, we talk about this all the time about trying to find another avenue when you're trying to win basketball games. How many times last year did we just point? We closed our eyes and just pointed right through the free throw line. Whether it was attempts, whether it was makes, the Kings shot themselves in the foot in both categories. But DeMar's here now. I mean, it's crazy how much difference one guy could make, but he's definitely making a difference in that stat.
It's contagious. I mean, the Kings were 23 of 25 from the line last night. DeRozan was 9 of 10 on his own. He ended up with 23 points. Again, he was great. Kevin Huerter, another 18-point effort, 4 more three-pointers for Kevin. It's great to see him get back, get acclimated, played 33 minutes last night.
Let me tell you, to see Kevin Huerter knock down some shots is a breath of fresh air, because this guy really was, he might not say it, but I'm telling you, in his head, he was really in disarray about what he's going to be able to do out there on the floor, and is he the right fit for this team? He knows he's an NBA player, but that has nothing to do with, are you the right player for this team? Because he had a great year the first year. Second year was horrible for him.
It was.
He got yo-yoed in and out of the starting lineup. He got yo-yoed for his minutes, and then he got hurt. And then on top of that, the guy who replaced him played lights out. And he's sitting right next to you. So, I know his mind was going in 30,000 different directions, but for him to get out there, man, and have some success and see some balls go through, I'm very happy for him.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to see him play well. Keon played last night after not playing Saturday. He got 14 and a half minutes of run as well. Jordan McLaughlin did play 5 minutes. So a little more rotation for Coach Brown last night. Obviously, the game was a blowout in the fourth quarter. They brought everybody in late.
Right. But Coach Brown is still going to have to navigate that guard-heavy line. And I think he was able to utilize it last night, putting DeMar at the 4 and then running straight 3 guards. He was able to do it with Trey out there because of the lineup that Portland had on the floor. Couldn't do it with LA. No. Couldn't do it with Minnesota because Julius Randle was just going through everybody that was under 6'8". Couldn't do it with LA because LeBron was on a heater. And then when LeBron got off the heater, AD got going. So you couldn't do it then. But with teams like Portland and some other teams, you're going to be able to play that small ball and get that ball up and down the floor. Yeah, no doubt. It was fun to see. Malik in that third quarter had a couple of huge threes to get that run going. It was nice to see the Kings put on a big-time run. That's what I'm saying, Scott. You have De'Aaron on the floor, by the way. De'Aaron hasn't had to be fourth quarter De'Aaron. It's good to see that. You have Malik out there on the floor knocking down shots. You have Kevin Huerter on the floor knocking down shots. Keegan Murray didn't shoot particularly well, but we know he can. Mm-hmm. And then you got Mr. Clutch himself, DeMar DeRozan, knocking down shots. And wait a minute. Put Trey Lyles at the 5. He can stretch the floor. He's knocking down shots. No doubt. Now, they did give up a big-time run in the fourth quarter like they have in the first 2 games. The difference was they were up 26 points when Portland went on that 13-0 run. It didn't make a difference. No, it did make a difference. But, for the overall scheme of things, Scott, and, this team really has to get comfortable with closing games out. Mm-hmm. We talked about this. Even the LA game, we were like, okay, can they hold on? Can they hold on? Can they hold on? Instead of having that type of mentality, you want this basketball team to say, okay, you know what, fellas, we up 12. Let's push this thing to 2022 and close out. That's the mentality you want this team to have.
No doubt. And it never felt like Portland was going to come back and make a serious threat. But, I mean, it was to the point where a couple more buckets and you might have thought that way.
Well, and you have to understand you're playing Portland, all right? If you're playing Denver and Denver gets on a roll, we just see what happened down in L.A. You let L.A. get on a roll, you might not be able to hold that lead. So let's get in the mindset of understanding, we have 12, we have 14. It's comfortable.
Yes.
But let's get this thing out of hand.
No doubt. And it was good to see the Kings take care of business against a team they should beat at home. This Portland team, I think we can see why they're a lottery team.
I like a lot what Portland have, though.
They have some good young talent.
Yes. And then, they got talent that we didn't even get a chance to see out there on the floor. I've always liked Matisse Thybulle.
Good defensive player.
Always liked him, solid player. And I think he's sneakily good on the offensive side.
Yep.
He hasn't really been on the basketball team to ask him to score, but I think he can.
Yep.
I feel the same way about Robert Williams III. I'm like, wait a minute, this dude was doing some things.
Can block a lot of shots, good rim protector.
Right. Hell of a rim protector. So, they got some
and
pieces.
Shannon Sharp, too.
No, not Shannon Sharp. He could play.
Not Shannon Sharp.
I mean,
Shaden Sharp.
I'm so sorry. Shaden
I don't know
Sharp.
if Shannon can play basketball.
Right. But he might try, though.
He can talk.
Yeah. But Sharp is another guy that could ball out. But I'm very, very impressed with Scoot Henderson.
Yes. He can play.
I didn't know he was that young, but the kid has a bag load of talent. Watching him handle the basketball and how he gets to the rim, how strong he is, how he likes to pick up on the defensive end, I'm like, Portland's got a gem in him.
They do. And he's only going to get better, right? He's young, just in his second year, came out right away. He's big. He's athletic.
Oh, man.
And once he figures it out, he's going to be really good.
He has all the tools to be a very good point guard.
Yeah, he does. All right. That's a look back at the Portland game. Kings win. Again, 111-98, 1-2 on the year now. They're going to take on a Jazz team that is winless, 0-3, coming back home from their loss against Dallas. We'll break that down. We'll go around the league as well. It's kind of a light night in the NBA, only 4 games total. We'll look back at last night's scores. We can talk anything NBA that you want as well. Give us a call, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us as well at the same number. Game night is always being brought to you by our good friends at Power Business Technology. Experience how the Power family can help you with all your business copier needs. Give them a call today, 1-844-POWER-BZ, or go to powercopiers.com. More of Game Night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140.
All right, we are live on YouTube.
Kyle, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling a bit more positive after seeing the first beam last night, and
yes.
I genuinely had a palpable reaction to that. I drive past 7th Street on the way home, and it was very nice. It had been so long since I'd seen it. I actually physically felt better.
It's been too long. There were cobwebs on it. It was nice to see DeMar DeRozan light it too.
Yeah, I'm glad that we didn't have to come in here today and really start having a serious conversation about the state of this team because they had lost to Portland.
And we would have if they had lost.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I kind of, correct me if I'm wrong. It feels like Portland and Utah are kind of the 2 teams in the Western Conference this year that we look at and say every night they are beatable regardless of who's playing them. And so I feel like, they play 8 games against those 2 teams this year. If you win 6 or 7 of those, I mean, ideally you want to win 8, but say you win 6 or 7 of those, you feel good about it because you're keeping pace with the rest of the league. If they had dropped the first one of the season against Portland, that would have been like that margin for error is really going down in terms of games they can give up. Yeah,
I know that's fair. Although I think, Henry, tell me what you think. I think Utah's a better roster than Portland.
Oh, no doubt. I do too.
I think they're a better team.
By far.
Yeah.
By far a better team. They have, when you look at Portland's roster and, and we just went down it, you look at this and say, okay, they got a lot of guys that can be serviceable, can do some things out there on the floor. When you look at Utah's roster, you look at them and say, whoa, they got some guys I would like to have on my team.
No doubt.
They can help us win right now.
No doubt. And we're going to get into it, but boy, that was just a devastating injury for Taylor Hendricks last night.
I don't even want to talk about it. I heard about it.
You don't want to see it.
Oh, I heard about it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, you don't.
I saw the video by mistake, but I've directed Jason and Henry to avoid looking at
it's not fun to watch. It really isn't. You feel so bad for him. Broken fibula. It was a non-contact injury just running down the floor. You feel bad for that young man. But when you take that away, again, the lineup of Marketing and Sexton, and you have Clarkson coming off the bench again. I mean, this is a legit 6-7 players they've got. And let's not forget John Collins.
Right. And then you got the big man in the middle. You know, they have all the tools it takes to be a good basketball team.
They do. All right. We'll get ready to come back on the air.
We're coming back. I think you guys are kind of saying the same point, which is like Portland and Utah both have that combination of young players.
So the Kings should beat them all 8 times.
Solid players. Yes. But the Jazz have Markkanen. And Markkanen is that difference.
Welcome back into Game Night right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer, Henry Turner. Game Night, always brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. They're looking for volunteer mentors. For just a few hours a month, you can impact the life of a child. What is more meaningful than that? Call 916-646-9300 or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn more. All right, Game Night will be with you until 5:30 tonight. Get you ready for Kings Live pregame. Good conversation going on in our YouTube chat during the break. Of course, you can go to YouTube. Just go to Sacktown Sports 1140. You can watch us there for the entire show as well. You know, one of the things we should have brought up, we brought it up in the YouTube, was, you know, it was good to see the beam lit for the first time. And it was good to see DeMar light it for the first time, too.
You know what? I was happy for DeMar because that was one of the main things that, you know, he was hyped about coming to Sacramento. He was like, I want to light the beam. You know, so for him to have a chance early on to light the beam. And then, Scooter, I'm not going to lie. On the ride home, man, I looked at it, and I'm like, this thing, they must have put a couple of extra D batteries in it because
got it going.
It shoots up pretty high, and you can see it way across the city.
Every year they seem to just kind of start maxing it out a little more.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute, this thing goes up.
Yeah, no, it's good. Maybe it was just because you hadn't seen it in a while. Maybe it looked.
You know what though? It might have been that too.
Yeah, that was cool. It's good for the Kings to have that back up and running, and again, it's just been one of the best promotions in the NBA in a long, long time.
You know, my question is, because we know that pretty much all the NBA teams are copycat. They probably do the exact same thing in all the arenas. But I'm wondering, when is somebody else going to try to come out with a beam?
Somebody's going to copycat it
because it's a copycat league.
No doubt.
I'm like, when is someone going to say, oh, well, we have a beam also?
Yeah, no, we're going to see it. It's just a matter of time. I totally agree with that. All right, Kings are in Salt Lake tonight, the Jazz, and we were talking about this during the break too. The Jazz have a very good 6-7 players. Unfortunately, tonight they're going to be without Taylor Hendricks, their starting small forward, who took just a really bad step last night and broke his fibula. It's one of those things you just don't want to watch if you don't have to. It's kind of like an Alex Smith situation if you're going way back. Joe Theismann. I mean, there's lots of them, but it's just one of those. I know you haven't seen it yet, High Flyer. I saw it. It's a rough thing to watch. Fortunately, it seems to be a clean break. Just a break of the fibula, and you just hope that he can come back and be 100%.
I mean, I've seen so many of them, man. I mean, I remember Sean Livingston did his. So many other guys in the NBA. Paul George did his.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, up against the backstop. So, yeah, you can bounce back from it, but it's not nothing that you want to see. It'll definitely make your stomach queasy.
No, he's not coming back anytime soon, for sure, for the Jazz, and that's a tough loss for them. But having said that, they still have Lauri Markkanen, who is, you know, Porzingis is the unicorn. Markkanen, if he's not the unicorn, then what would you describe him?
He's the West Coast Porzingis, because their games pretty much mirrors one another.
They do. He's Porzingis light, right?
Right. You know, they're both 7-footers. You know, they both can block shots. They both can play on the outside. They have no problem playing. it's like this. They're 7 feet guys with a guards game, and you could put Chet Holmgren in that same bottle too and shake it up, and they would still all be the same.
Yeah, no doubt. They're both great players. And, of course, Markkanen, it didn't seem like he was coming back to Utah for this year. It felt for a while as if he was going to go to Golden State. The Warriors weren't able to make that deal. I'm sure the Kings had some interest as well. I'm sure every team in the league had interest in Lauri Markkanen. And, but the Jazz ended up holding on to him. And when you've got a 7-footer who is that unique, I mean, it's pretty tough to trade that guy.
I mean, think about this, Scott. When you look at what Boston did, and you look at that team, you look at that roster, who pushed Boston over the top? It was when they brought Porzingis in.
Yep.
When they put Porzingis to be the number 4 guy on that roster, that just shot them through the stratosphere, man.
Yep.
And that team took off like a rocket.
No doubt. And Brad Stevens has done a great job as GM there, but it was Danny Ainge who really kind of built that team before going to Utah, where he's at now.
Yeah, and that's
the
where
Jason Tatum trade.
That's where you have to look out, because Danny is one of the best in the business at
Jaylen Brown.
Understanding that a small market, even though Boston wasn't a small market, but Danny understands small market, it has to be done through the draft. And, you try to get as many as you can to get as many looks as you can to where you can cherry pick the best of the best.
You can. That's right. All right. Game night being brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. They are looking for some volunteer mentors, as we said, for just a few hours a month. You can help the life of a child. Give them a call, 916-646-9300. Let's go to the phone lines. Brandon, welcome into Game Night. How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you guys doing tonight?
We're doing fantastic. What's going on?
I got a quick question. I like the Kings roster. I know they're usually a little bit shorter than most teams, but I think once they learn to be comfortable with playing with pace and more time to get on the court, it's going to be a good thing. My question is for the high flyer. When you played during your time, is it more of an advantage, or I'll put it this way, is it tougher to guard a guy who's bigger than you, or is it tougher to stick a guy who's smaller than you? Is it a challenge for these guys, DeMar DeRozan, to have to guard the big guys, or how do you feel about that?
Well, it's a total different game now, because let me put it to you this way. Back when I played, I probably would, if I was a small forward like DeMar and I tried to go down to the 4, I would have been guarding guys like Karl Malone, guys like Charles Barkley, guys like Charles Smith, real big guys that play a serious down low game. So I would have definitely been put at a deficit trying to guard those guys. But when you look at today's game and you look at who DeMar is guarding, he's guarding guys that stretch the floor, that shoot threes. They're not really posting up like they was back in the day. So, against certain players, you can put DeMar at the 4 and be just fine.
Right on. I'm excited for the game tonight, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the call. We appreciate it. Again, if you want to join us, 1-800-920-1140. We saw the Kings try to go down to Sabonis, especially Saturday night in the Lakers game, put him down in the low post, right? We saw him outside more last night. And, when DeMontis is comfortable and confident in taking that outside shot, especially that 3, I think it makes the Kings offense so much better.
Oh, man. Not with him just getting comfortable, but with him taking the shot.
Just taking it's big.
Taking the shot, and other teams knowing that he's able to make one, that pulls that guy out from up under the rim. Yeah. Now the opposition don't have the rim protection. They don't have the shot blocking. Now, guess what? Guys like Keegan, guys like Trey, DeMar, Monk can get downhill and get to the rim with no protection.
No doubt. And Domas is a player who is just much better with his face to the basket, not his back to the basket. He's not really a back up 4 or 5.
No, he isn't a traditional guy to where you throw him the ball down in the post, he's going to back a guy down. He gets a lot of his work done in transition. He works so hard on the offensive side that he gets a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks. But as far as just throwing him the ball down there and letting him go to work, he isn't a Tim Duncan type guy. No. He's not a Pat Ewing type guy. He's not an Elijah Wan down there you watch him go to work. He's not that type of guy.
No, he's not at all. All right, 10. Welcome into Game Night. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, Scott Marsh. How are you?
Doing great. What's going on tonight?
Yeah, Scott Marsh. To the last caller's point, with size, it's about who is hungry. You are on a fast break scoring on your bucket, and you see LeBron James come in behind you for a chase down. Now he covers a lot of ground, freakish athlete. And on the flip side of another respective sport, Tyreek, shorter guy, fastest player in the NFL. Now he can run you down too if you get an interception on his quarterback. He's got to make that tackle to prevent a defensive house. And so I think it's Isaiah Thomas modeled it best. Heart over height.
Yep. No, that's a good point. Tim, appreciate that. You can always make up with you don't have an athletic ability if you just give absolutely everything. And Isaiah Thomas, who had a lot of athletic ability, had a bigger heart for sure.
True. Scott, all NBA players have an athletic ability. It's just all about what they do. The Sacramento Kings, they don't have the height and they don't have the size, but they got a boatload of speed.
Yes.
And see, that's what's going to neutralize size, height, and strength is their speed. But they have to learn how to play with that speed. We talk about it. Gang rebounding is a must to get that ball out to speed up the offense. Deflections, steals, sprays. You can't get that ball and just walk it up the court. Domantas Sabonis got to get that ball and haul up court. He can pretty much outrun any center in the league, but it won't do any good if your guards don't beat you down court and get to those two spots to where you can't spray the ball out. Everybody's got to get up and go.
Yep, got to be in unison. And, when this team does, it's got a lot of firepower.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
It does.
When they get there and start moving and get it right, and I honestly think that it's going to come sooner and later, they're going to really be like, okay, fellas, this is us from start to finish. Let's go.
Yep. All right, speaking of going, we've got to take the break. When we come back, we're going to go around the league. We'll get you caught up on all the scores from last night, look at all the games that are going on today. Game night being brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. It's game night right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. I had to put my mic down for the caller.
That's
sorry.
okay.
Now you can hear me. We're live on YouTube.
Yes. And we can even see you without your Yankees hat on.
I can put it back on if you want.
You were smart enough to take that off.
I got it right here. You want me to put it back on real quick?
No, it's fine.
All right. So don't have
Dodgers going to finish it out tonight?
Hey, don't have Scott come up in there now.
Exactly. don't think that glass is going to protect you.
Scott's feisty about his Dodgers.
Yeah. We're going to close it out tonight. Sweep. Get out the brooms.
Not tonight. It's tomorrow. I saw the stat on the broadcast that 24 times the World Series has been 3-0 before. It's never even gotten to a game 6. No team down 0-3 has ever even forced a game 6.
Wow.
So I think the Dodgers are in cruise control right now.
Wow. Well, I can't take anything for granted, that's for sure.
No, but I will feel good for you. I'll feel good for you if you get to celebrate.
Let's hope so.
I will be very happy.
Let's hope so. All right. What do we got going on in the chat?
We got some people who are getting ready for tonight. Since we're about to go around the league, I did want to bring up one story that was kind of under the radar yesterday, is that after LeBron put up 10 consecutive made shots against the Lakers, or against the Kings. Yesterday he came back
brutal yesterday.
And he was this close to breaking the 17-year streak of scoring 10 points in a game. He only got a third bucket at the very end to get to 11 points, but he was real close to breaking the 17-year streak one game after playing the Kings.
Yeah, no, I was going to bring that up. He was 3 of 14 last night, and you know what? He's been kicking Father Time's butt. Father Time's butt at least got a jab in last night.
Yeah, he used up all that energy against the Kings.
Yeah, he did. He was remarkable on Saturday, not so much against the Lakers. First loss for LA last night, a high flyer, 109-105. The Lakers, like the Kings on Saturday night, they had a 7-point lead going into the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix outscored them 33-22 in the fourth quarter.
Well, Scooter, you just said it. You know, as great as LeBron James is, and, you know, I don't care what he does to his body, how many cryogenic chambers he has, all that stuff, it's good. It didn't held him, it didn't preserved him for a long time. But I'm going to tell you right now, as far as going up and down that floor, Father Time is going to catch up. And when he does, he's going to jump on your back and hold on. Yep. So, LeBron playing back-to-back games, I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying that he's going to be bad. But I'll tell you what, Father Time will catch up.
Eventually, yep. Always cutting off night.
Lakers are going to need it for sure. Because at this point, we could bring up the point of it's unprecedented what's happening. We're 3 years past the unprecedented point of any player ever playing this long at this point.
Well, the other thing, that gets overlooked sometimes, he's played in nearly 300 playoff games, which is another 3.5 years on top of his 22nd regular season, on top of Olympics.
Yep.
I mean,
that's what was so jarring about the game against Sacramento. And it's been, you could chalk some of it up to Sacramento defensively not holding up, but it's just to hit shot after shot like that is things that even the best players in the league in their 20s aren't doing right now. And he's doing it in his 40s. It's remarkable.
He'll be 40 in December.
But Kyle, here's the deal with that. That was the second game of the NBA season.
Mm-hmm.
If it's any time that you're going to be fresh, it's going to be the first 5 games.
That is fair. Here, we're coming back real soon.
Welcome back to the game night right here, Sacktown Sports, 1140. Scott Marshall on with the high flyer, Henry Turner. Halfway through, taking you until 5:30 tonight. Kings Live pregame comes up bottom of the hour. Jason Ross in with Henry for that. G-Man with the call, 6 o'clock tip in Salt Lake City. The Kings looking to even out their record, win 2 in a row. For the Jazz, they're just looking for their first win. They're in the same situation the Kings were last night, trying to get their first win. They're at home tonight. So Utah will come out with a little extra energy tonight.
Hey, understand the hunger factor is going to be there. Coming out first couple of games and you lay a couple of eggs and now you get a chance to go home, get a little home cooking, or Kings better be ready. Yep. The Jazz is going to come out and they're going to have a little extra pizzazz, a little extra pep in their step because they want to win at home also.
Yeah, we'll break that down in the next segment. Let's go around the league. Let's also get you caught up on some news here. It's kind of been a busy day news-wise in the NBA as well. The 76ers were fined $100,000 in relation to how they've been treating Joel Embiid's health. They haven't been playing him. They haven't really described what's going on with him. They've been very vague about his health issues with the knee. They were fined $75,000 before for this last season. This time they get $100,000.
Okay. I mean, at what particular point, Scott, are NBA teams going to be transparent about the actual findings of players' health?
Yeah, probably it's going to take more than $100,000, right?
Come on now. It's going to take a lot more than that because, most teams aren't going to give away what's happening with their players. They're going to pay that $100,000 and keep moving. All they're going to do is, charge a little bit extra on the ticket. That's it.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with you. The $100,000 is kind of a slap right now. We'll see if it continues to get elevated. Basically the league saying that the public comments did not properly reflect his health issues with the knee, so we'll see what happens there. But the bigger issue, of course, is Joel Embiid and how much is he going to be able to play right now?
That's going to be the big problem. I think Philly put themselves in a good position, having Joel, having Paul George come over and, love what the guard is doing. Their starting guard is just crazy right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing out
Maxi's
of his mind.
great. Yep.
But I think that Paul George and Maxey can hold it down. They still have Tobias still down there, right?
Yep.
They still got Tobias Harris. He's another one, man, that I really think can go to another club and do big things for some people. But still have Tobias Harris there, so they still have a legitimate squad that can hold on. But they're not going to do anything special without the big fella.
No. Their season is a non-starter without Embiid. Also today, Rudy Gay making it official. He's retiring after 17 NBA seasons.
Oh, Rudy Gay shutting it down.
He is done. Of course, we got to know him here in a short time in Sacramento, but what a class act and what a great NBA career.
Rudy Gay was a great guy, man.
Yep.
The ups and downs here, and I'm pretty sure he had ups and downs in his whole career.
Yep.
But you know what? Always stayed professional, man. Was always cool. Never was, a thorn in anybody's side. So, I wish him the best.
No doubt. 38 years old, calling it quits. He was the number 8 pick in the 2006 draft by the Rockets, traded to the Grizzlies. He made all rookie there. And of course, he played a lot of time in Sacramento as well. And just loved being around Rudy Gay. He was one of the good guys.
He was, man. He was. So, him, just hanging him up. Never know what's next for him.
No doubt. In terms of the injuries, we talked about Taylor Hendricks. We'll have a full injury report for Kings and Jazz coming up next break as well. But for the Warriors, Wiggins out back strain. This whole thing with Andrew Wiggins, they've been living through it for a couple of years. What's it going to be like this season for the Warriors? They just have such a small margin for error and for injuries and everything else right now.
Scooter, I don't even see a margin for them.
Yeah.
Right now, if Wiggins is not on that roster, the Golden State Warriors are just a regular team. I mean, I know you still have Steph.
Sure.
Steph without Clay, he's still going to be Steph, but it won't be the Splash Brothers. It won't be done collectively. Steph got to get things done Herculean. Draymond Green is still a facilitator, even though he might be playing better basketball, but he's not playing the same type of ball he played those first couple of championships. So they're going to need some other people to really step up, and especially if Wiggins is not there.
No doubt. And for the Hawks, of course, the Kings are going to see Atlanta on Friday. Our friend, our former player, Bogey Bogdanovic, out for at least a month with a hammy.
Bogey boy, he finds his way with them hamstrings, don't he?
Yeah.
Hamstrings and ankles has really, really been his Achilles heel. No pun intended.
No doubt. He's had some injuries since, leaving Sacramento. He's 32 years old now. He underwent a non-surgical procedure today. He'll be reevaluated in about 4 weeks. So that's tough for him, and it's a tough loss for the Hawks.
Well. Yeah, it is. I mean, he's one of the guys that stretch the floor, kind of like one of the leaders on that basketball team. But where are the Hawks at right now when you look at that basketball team? Are they a team that's like, yeah, we're going to make the playoffs? Are they a team that's like, okay, we're going to play half the season and see, are we going to have a fire sale? Because I honestly see them as a team that's like, okay, let's see what happens before All-Star break. And if it don't look good, they got a couple of guys that they can definitely dump off for a fire sale.
No doubt. I think they're in the worst possible situation in the NBA. They're in the middle, right? They're not good enough to compete at the highest level, and they're not bad enough to get a lottery pick to change their franchise.
And their franchise player has been disgruntled for a little while.
True.
That's the thing. Trae Young has definitely put it out there that he's not happy with the direction the team is going.
Yeah.
So
coaching changes, everything else.
Right. So it could be a fire sale by midseason.
Yeah, we'll see him on Friday. That'll be interesting for the Kings. All right, let's go around the league. The Magic, they did end up winning last night. That was a close game as we were monitoring it. They beat the Pacers 119-115, and Paolo did go for 50 in that game. 50, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. First 50-point game of the season.
Whee! The young fella breaking it out early on. I'm sorry, Scott. I mean, I understand this is a much more offensive-driven type league.
Still, that's 50, man.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. 50, man, is impressive. I don't care where you are. You could be in a rec league. If you get 50, you putting in some work.
You are. Celtics still undefeated. They beat the Bucks. They're 4-0. Milwaukee off to a 1-3 start.
I think Milwaukee and Denver, both of those teams.
Yep.
It's going to be real question marks about where they go. I'm pretty sure Joker's happy. He's not really, kicking up any steam about, I need to get traded or we need to change the direction of this basketball team. I still think they got a great roster.
Yeah. But
Giannis is still that guy that's saying, I might want to leave. I mean, it's been rumblings that he's ready to go.
Yep.
So, and you just brought Dame over. Middleton is still there. Bobby Portis is still there. But you got some other guys that they're ready to go too. So How long do you ride this ship? And especially when you're struggling like Milwaukee is struggling.
No question about it. I know some people were in the Bobby Portis camp, but try to get him to Sacramento. What do you, if the Kings could make a move there? What do you think?
Hey, would a roll with it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Another guy that can help in the middle, rebound, and stretch the floor. No doubt.
No doubt. He brings great energy. Speaking of the Nuggets, they were trailing when we were doing this show last night too, but they ended up winning 127-125 in Toronto. And of course, the Kings will be there on Saturday night. The Joker, 40-10 last night.
I think Denver will get it together. I honestly do, because, your number one guy has bought in, and the number two guy understands that he is just that number two. The one person I think that will push them over the edge and make them go far, Michael Porter Jr.
Mm-hmm.
I like his game. Him and his play is kind of like a light-skinned Kevin Durant. The dude is 6'8", 6'9", maybe 6'10", but the way he plays, shoots, drives to the basket. I mean, he's a walking bucket.
He's a fabulous talent, no doubt, and a great outside shooter.
Yes.
The only thing that's held him back is his back, literally.
Right.
If when healthy.
He's been struggling with some injuries, but I'm saying when he's out there on the floor, man, I mean, this kid is talented.
No doubt. The Suns did end up beating the Lakers last night, 109-105. They came back from being down 7 in the third to get the win. The Suns are now 3-1. Lakers, their first loss, they're 3-1 as well. Now, both teams look good to start the year.
Right. Let's see how long that's going to last. But I'll tell you what, LA came out strong, but we've already talked about Father Time and LeBron. Let's see how long he can hold out. Phoenix, D-Book, KD.
Yep. Beal.
Bradley Beal.
Yep.
Is the big three legit this year? That's going to be the question.
Can they stay healthy?
Are they? No, I don't care if they stay healthy or not. Yeah. Are they legit this year? Because even when you had all three on the floor, they didn't look like a big three.
No, they didn't. And they didn't play together for like the first half of the year at all.
Right.
And that maybe messed them up a little bit. I'm interested to see if they stay healthy for 25, 30 games together, what they can do. And Tyus Jones, we talked about that. It's a good addition at the point.
Yes, great addition. And then, they got Big Nurk down there in the center. But like I said, are the big three are they going to be able to play like a big three?
Yeah, we're going to find out. All right, today's game, Nuggets back in a back-to-back. They're in Brooklyn right now, losing second quarter 44-29. Mavs also playing in a back-to-back. They're in Minnesota. They're trailing to the Timberwolves 39-32. The only other game tonight, the Pelicans are in Golden State. They will be playing the Warriors tonight. All right, when we come back, we'll take a look. Kings and Jazz, we'll break it all down. We'll look at the Kings road trip, what the chances are on this trip. We'll get you the Gingery and Hammer injury report as well. It's game night right here. Sacktown Sports, 1140.
All right, we are live on YouTube.
All right, what's going on in the chat?
Just putting a pin in the conversation we were having before in the break. I know we ran out of time. You were talking about LeBron putting it together early on in the season when everyone has energy and he's not tired after game 63 and his body's wearing out on him. You and I were watching the game together, and sometimes they were making switches on to Alex Len, but that was Keegan that he was hitting some shots over. And that's the best defender on the Kings, and he was still hitting contested fadeaways, three-pointers, and for all the conversation about the Kings' struggle with length, against Randall and stuff like that, they put Keegan on LeBron, and LeBron was still hitting shots over him.
Yeah, that's what I said. The thing about LeBron is that when he gets it going, there's nobody in the league that's going to stay with him or guard him because he's too strong down low, and he has a guard type play when he's knocking down that jump shot. But I'll tell you what, though, when he ain't hitting that jump shot and those legs go in the second half, you're going to see a different LeBron.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's remarkable that 3 months ago he was at the Olympics balling out the way that they did also. So he didn't even have a full off season this year, and he's still putting it together like that. Again, the next game wasn't as good, but the fact that he had a stretch of basically hitting 10 shots in a row at age basically 40 is
I said that LeBron game against the Kings, I'm trying to think back because obviously he's had many great games against the Kings, but I can't remember a better game he's had against the Kings than that one in his entire 22-year career.
Hey, and definitely not a better quarter.
No, No chance.
Because he just destroyed us by himself single-handedly in that third quarter.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
I mean, a triple dub, 16 points in a
He's
run.
the reason the
He's-
Lakers won the game, right? There's other reasons.
Of course.
He's
He was the biggest reason, no doubt.
Yeah,
No doubt.
absolutely. And, looking forward to the game tonight. I know we're going to do some of that coming up here, but it's been interesting how they've had to switch rotations up based on the personnel of the teams that they're playing this year. I assume we'll see more Keon Ellis tonight, but the Jazz are a lengthier team than Portland. I would argue more akin to what we saw from the Timberwolves with the Randall, Gobert, at times Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels. You're seeing three of them on the floor.
I think collectively, Portland's the tallest team in the league.
Sure, but
So-
we saw more Keon Ellis minutes than we were probably expecting. And we saw 10 players come out on the floor.
Well, you can't count that because, a lot of that was garbage time at the end.
Oh, I was talking about even earlier in the game. McLaughlin played in the first half.
A little bit, yeah.
Lyles played in the first half.
There were a lot of fouls, too, in that first half.
That was the other part of it. That first half was really bogged down.
It was pretty ugly.
So I'm interested to see how the rotations go because the first game it was, Mike Brown said, I'm going to play all the players that I'm familiar with. And then he's kind of mixed and matched the last two games.
Yeah, he's trying to figure it out still. There's no doubt, and with Herter getting more time and Lyles will be getting more time as he's healthier, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see how it pieces together because even though obviously Hendricks had the awful injury, they're still going to be starting Collins, Markkanen, and Walker Kessler together.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And Kessler, he's a tough matchup for Sacramento.
He is. And you know what, Scott? I'm wondering when the Sacramento Kings are going to get to this point. Instead of saying, okay, we have to change our lineup to match up with them, how about being good enough at small ball to where the other team says, we got to change up our
Like they
scheme
were a couple of years ago.
to match up with the Kings? Exactly.
No doubt. All right. Final segment, game night right here, Sacktown Sports 1140. Scott Marshall on with the High Flyer, Henry Turner. Thanks to everybody participating in our chat room on YouTube, Sacktown Sports 1140. Great conversation there during the breaks as well. It's time now to get to our injury report for tonight's contest. It is brought to you by the law firm of Gingery Hammer and Associates. For the Kings tonight, they're relatively healthy. We'll be saying this name a lot. Devin Carter, he's not going to be back for a couple of months. The first-round pick. And Orlando Robinson, he's going to be coming off the injured list pretty soon, hopefully sooner than later, still nursing that knee injury. For the Jazz, we talked about it, Taylor Hendricks, that broken fibula in last night's game. He's going to be out a while for the Jazz, undoubtedly there. And that's really the only injury of note for Utah in this one. Again, the injury report brought to you by the law firm of Gingery, Hammer, and Associates. If you got an injury, just call Gingery. Kings tonight in Salt Lake. We'll break this down, but let's just kind of go over the full road trip right now. This is one of the more interesting road trips that you're going to see for Sacramento in a while. And it's not just the teams they're playing, it's where they're going. Okay. So they start in Salt Lake. That's fine. They get a couple of days. They go to Atlanta. Okay.
Hold on. A couple of days in Utah?
Well, they have a couple of days off. They play Friday in Atlanta. I don't know if they're going to be staying.
See, go over the whole schedule.
Okay. Let's back up. Okay. And you play the basketball ops director here, and you tell me what you would do. Okay. So they're in Utah tonight. They're in Atlanta Friday. You have a couple of days. Would you travel to Atlanta after this game tonight and spend a couple days in Atlanta? What would you do with the time?
I would stay one day in Utah.
Yep.
And cut that Atlanta trip short. If I'm GM, okay?
Yep.
If I'm player, I got my bags packed. We out of Utah right after the game.
Yep.
Don't take no shower. Don't do nothing. Let's get on this plane and let's get to Atlanta.
Yeah, that's a lot of time in Atlanta. I know where you're going with that.
Right.
So that'll be interesting. And I don't know the Kings itinerary on that one. But then it gets interesting. Okay, you've got Atlanta Friday, and then you've got a back-to-back from Atlanta to Toronto.
That's tough.
That's a tough one.
That's tough, especially a back-to-back. To see, I would have thought you had those couple of games, those couple of days. You play at Utah, go to Toronto because you got a couple of days, get through customs, all that stuff. Because on that back-to-back, they're going to probably get to their hotel after that game about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, with the way this thing's spread out. I know the leagues, they're juggling a lot of things, their
Right.
unavailabilities, all that type of stuff, but
that's crazy, though.
it is crazy. I agree. A lot of people say Denver's the toughest place to go to a second night of a back-to-back because you're going into elevation, you're playing a good team,
Right.
all of that. But I would think equally as tough a second night of a back-to-back, having to go through Canada and go through customs and everything else. That's no easy traveling either.
It isn't, Scooter. And here's the deal. I've traveled with the team.
Yep.
I've been on our private plane, and I've traveled with this
Yep.
this generation private plane.
Yep.
And they fly very nice.
Yes.
But still, we're not talking about how you get there. We're talking about the time that you have to spend on the plane,
Yep.
in the airport, in customs, on a bus, trying to get to your luxury hotel.
Yep.
I don't care who you are. If you don't get to that luxury hotel until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and you got to play the next day, that throws all of your equilibrium off.
Yep.
Because basically, you won't even have a shoot around. You probably have maybe an early shoot around before the game.
Yeah.
But you're sleeping that whole day. It throws off your rhythm to where you usually are up having shoot around at 10. And then, you might go back and take a nap, whatever, but it throws everything off.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And then what's puzzling too, you go from Toronto to Miami. So you're in Atlanta,
Yeah.
you fly to Toronto, and you come back down to Miami.
Miami is right around the corner from Atlanta. It would have been easier just to go from Atlanta to Miami, play that game, and then go to Toronto.
And you do all this 3 games in 4 nights.
That's a big thing too.
And you have Atlanta and Miami.
And somebody is in the league office going, let's see how they like this.
It'll be a good challenge for the Kings.
It will.
It will be a good challenge. But obviously, as you always say, you can only focus in on the game at hand, and that is the Jazz tonight. Utah, we said they're winless. Doesn't mean they're not good. Doesn't mean they're not going to be hungry tonight. When you look at Utah, there's several things you can look at. You can look at guard play, all of that, but I think you really start with Markkanen, and then you got to throw Walker Kessler in there as well. This is a tall team. They had 12 block shots against the Kings in the preseason. Okay, preseason. You've talked a lot about rim protection, though. The Jazz have that.
Let me tell you, the Jazz are winless, Scott, but they're not going to come in and lay down. Understand that. We talk about what's the Kings' Achilles heel. It's height and length. All right. We saw what happened against Minnesota when they had big guys down there. And then when you look at what Utah have, Kessler is 7 foot legitimately. Yeah. All right. You have John Collins, 6'10", legitimately. And then you have the unicorn on the other side. He's 7 foot legitimately. So front court is going to be a problem.
No doubt. How do the Kings try and match up? This was one of the things we were talking about. When the Kings go smaller, they're obviously more effective offensively. We've seen Mike Brown use Alex Len here in the early games. Is this a night where Trey Lyles gets more than 15 minutes tonight?
It's tough, man, because how much are they going to use Kessler? Because, he isn't their number one option.
No.
But if you would put Trey Lyles in the game on Kessler, he might become their number one option, because the kid can't score. Yeah. It's not like he's a walking dead out there. He is capable of scoring the basketball. Now, the one thing that I have seen the Kings do is that I've seen them go to that quirky zone defense.
Yes, they did. They used that to good effectiveness last night.
Right. They went to the zone defense. Now, if Kessler's in the game with the other two, you go to the zone defense because you bring 2 other guys back down there and you want to try to get deflections and steals and get out in transition. I can see the Kings doing that.
Yeah, no doubt. The matchups will be interesting tonight. I'm assuming Sabonis starts on Kessler. Who gets Markkanen?
Keegan.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yep. And then you look around, Colin Sexton, who's a very effective guard. You're probably going to put DeRozan or Herter on him. Keontae George, that'll be Fox. And then they'll probably maybe start Clarkson tonight with the injury to Hendricks. Who knows who will be playing there. But then you've got John Collins as well. So you've got some interesting matchups going on here.
Yeah. If you have John Collins, I would much rather put DeMar on John Collins.
I think that's a good matchup for DeMar.
Yes.
Collins isn't fast.
He isn't fast. He has above the rim game. I give him that.
He does.
But he doesn't play bully ball. And, and when we look at threes that have a low post game, DeMar is the closest thing we have to guarding them.
Yep, I agree with that. All right, other things for the Kings tonight, second night of a back-to-back.
So what now?
Other things for the Kings tonight.
Speed, run. They got to be like the road runner, Scooter.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's how they have to play. When the Kings finally buy into that and say, okay, this is who we are, this is our identity, and we have to come out like this every night, we'll be in a much better place.
Okay, well, we definitely don't want them being Wile E. Coyote.
No, I said road runner.
Exactly.
You heard.
I heard you. I got the beeps. All right, that's going to do it for game night. Henry, always great to work with you. Have a great call tonight.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks to Kyle Ledbetter running this show. For the High Flyer, I'm Scott Marsh. We appreciate you listening to Game Night. Coming up, Kings Live pregame. Henry's here. Jason comes in. Tip tonight, 6 o'clock. G-Man with the call. We've got you covered all evening long. Sacramento Kings basketball. Enjoy it right here on Sacktown Sports 1140.
De'Aaron Fox plays here.
Stolen by